Well, welcome to Lesson 1 for our This Is How We Grow personal growth group. I'm excited to be here with you outside again because, hey, it's nice, it's fall out right now. Might as well enjoy the weather while we can and get some beautiful scenery into our lessons. I also hope it inspires us to want to be like the world around us and choose to grow. I'm going to start with a quote from my book that's coming out in November, This Is How We Grow. This is actually the quote that starts off the whole book, and this is what it says. It says, "There is a great cosmic ebb and flow, energy pouring calmly, powerfully through all, prompting change, nudging growth, telling us we cannot stay as we are, telling us we must become." Now I assume that's why you're here, because you feel that energy, that need, that desire to become more than what we are, to continue to grow, to be like the world around us and continue to improve and be the best we can be. Well, that's what we're going to work on while we're here. One of my favorite quotes is by Viktor Frankl. He says in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, which is one of my favorite books also, he says, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." So we have that space between what happens to us and how we respond, and that's where we get to choose. And you being here today shows that you are choosing to grow. We are choosing to grow and be free and become the best we can be. And so again, I want you to give yourself a pat on the back for making it, for committing and trying to do these lessons. Now today we're starting off, so I want to explain a little bit about how the lessons will work. Each month I'll pick a topic based on our theme, This Is How We Grow, for the year, and we'll discuss that topic. I'll share some quotes and thoughts and ideas, and then I'll also give some assignments, which I hope you'll work on. You may want to get a notebook or a journal. I'm a journaler, so I always have a little journal ready to go for whatever I'm working on. But if you're not that kind of person, you can use your phone, your computer, whatever works for you. But some way to keep track of your progress, the things that we're working on. I was thinking of kids. One of my sons just really wants to be taller. So he's constantly measuring himself on the wall to see how tall he is, hoping he'll grow, 10 inches overnight, I'm sure. But he's, unrealistic, but that's how we all are too. If you think about it, it's a great metaphor. We need to first see where we are. We need to measure our progress in order to see where we're going. So that's where keeping a notebook or a binder or something with your notes and the things you're working on in this group can be really helpful to help you kind of see your progress as you grow. That being said, let's move on with our lesson today. One of my favorite verses of scripture is from Ecclesiastes, and it says, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven." I'm sure you've heard of it. It's also a great song by the Byrds. Well, I love that because it reminds me that there is a reason for every season of our life. That just because we may be in a fall or a winter or a spring or a summer, there is really no good or bad about it. It's just the way it is. And each of our seasons of life have a purpose and a meaning. There is a reason, there is meaning behind what we do, and we can always choose to grow whatever season we're in. So think about the regular seasons of life. We're going to talk first about the seasons of life. Think about the regular seasons of life. Right now it's fall here in Flagstaff where I live, and the seasons just continue to come, don't they? It's not like we can skip a season. We can't just decide one year, okay, we are going to skip winter and move on to spring or summer. They continually follow one another. And there's nothing inherently bad about it. We might have our favorite season. We might love fall or spring versus winter, or we might love summer. But it doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad or good. There's good and bad in each of the seasons, and we need each season to move into the next one. Well, the same goes with our own personal growth. We need our own seasons of growth, whatever season we're in. We have to be able to grow through that season in order to get to the next and the next and the next. And that is how we grow. So that's what we're going to talk about first, are the seasons. But actually, before I do that, and let me just say, I don't love being a talking head on a video screen. If you were here in person, I would walk around, I would interact, but hopefully this will be as entertaining as possible if you're going to listen to these lessons, even though I'm a talking head. Okay, so that being said, my question for you, then this is your number one assignment, so you can write this down. My first question is, what does personal growth look like for you? Now, I wanted to ask, what does it mean to you? And you can answer that too. That's a good question too. But I really want to know what it looks like to you, because we can know what it means, but not really know how it looks in our life. So I posted in my very first blog post about this group, which you can find on my website that says, join the personal growth group, I posted some responses from people on Facebook about what personal growth looks like for them. And you can see when you read those responses, it looks different for each of us. And that's true. Each of us is in a different circumstance, stage of life. We each find different values and meaning out of life. We have different belief systems. And we each need a personalized program of growth for where we want to be. So it's important, if we're going to work on personal growth, to understand, what does that look like for you? When you think about yourself growing, what down the road will you become? So that's our first question. Keep that in mind. Let's talk about the seasons of growth. This all came out of my upcoming book, This Is How We Grow. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background on that, because that's really important to how I developed the whole idea of the seasons of growth, but also my own personal seasons of growth and what personal growth means to me. My memoir, This Is How We Grow, shares the story of how my sister and brother-in-law died. It's been 6 years now. And at the time they had 2 sons, and so we inherited their 2 sons, our nephews, and I was pregnant and had a baby 3 weeks later. So we had 3 kids, and then all of a sudden we had 6 kids. And it was we were shoved into this sort of crazy world of trying to build this new family. And here I was, a psychologist. I was just preparing to wrap up my practice and stay home with my kids again. I've been a stay-at-home mom on and off over the years, and I wanted to be a full-time mom and be home again with my family, and then go back to work. And here I was, specializing in postpartum, in parenting, in grief and loss, women's mental health, and all of these things that I was suddenly now shoved into this world where I was kind of like the doctor becoming the patient. And I was going through all these experiences that, I've had a lot of loss in my life and a lot of really hard experiences even before that, and some since then too. But this was, to me, one of the most pivotal times in my life. It was sort of the time where I was given this sharp turn, and it was like, hey, let's see how you grow through this. So as I started working on my own grief and loss and development through that time, I also was working on my yearly themes. So every year I develop a theme at the beginning of the year, and that's the thing that I focus on for that whole year. And it ended up that my yearly themes, even for the year that I started in January, my sister didn't die till September, or October, we didn't have these changes till later in the year, but even that first yearly theme, which was patience, they're always suited for exactly what I need somehow. And isn't that life? We just kind of get what we need right when we need it. And so what ended up happening is, as I moved through these 4 years of my life, and I wrote about this in my book, I went back and I realized those 4 years were 4 seasons of my life, and they were 4 steps on the path of growth. And then there was a 5th step, which was my year of love at the end, which kind of encompassed everything. So that's where I started to first understand the seasons of growth. And I wrote a little bit about the seasons of growth, and I'm going to read you some of it. This is actually from an excerpt that was taken out of the book. It's not even going to be in the book anymore, but I'm going to make it a blog post so you can check it out. And I want you to kind of understand what I mean by the seasons of growth. So as I'm talking about these seasons for a few minutes, I want you to be thinking, what season am I in? What season of growth am I in right now? Okay? So in my world, the calendar begins in the fall, because that's when school is back in play, routine is once again going, and everything begins to change. And that's because I'm a mom. And if you're in school or if you're a mom, probably fall, you'll feel the same way. Fall is kind of when your year begins. If you're in a different situation of life where you don't feel that way, that's okay. This is just me. So fall is when the warmth and comfort of the summer sun is subtly supplanted by the mysterious chill, falling leaves, and crisp familiar hint that reminds us that our world is transforming. There will be times in each of our lives when we are falling, our feet swept out from under us. We will see the beautiful colors of the remaining leaves overhead on our way down smack to the pile on the ground. That to me is fall. So think about whether you might be in a fall. I'm going to read you the little poem. I put a little poem about each of the seasons at the beginning of each of my parts of my book. This is what I wrote about fall, so it kind of gives you another idea of what I mean by being in a season of fall. Fall is the jumping in, the beginning of learning, the end of the ease of summer. Fall is the slowing down, the turning of the sun, sky, wind, and trees. Fall is the surprise. the twists and turns signaling that everything is about to change. Are you in a season of fall? A time in your life where things are changing, a time of transformation? It can be a time when your world feels flipped upside down, like the time of my life when I was first in fall, when I wrote about in this book. Or it can be a time when things are exciting and new, and you're being asked to maybe make new change or to grow in a new way. Maybe this right now is a fall because you're choosing to grow with us. I don't know. But it's important to think about that, the falls in your life. Sorry, I'm just gonna kind of readjust the sunshine. It didn't work so well. Anyway, I'm gonna move over. I know you won't mind because you know what? You can't tell me because you're on video, because I'm on video. Okay, all right, that's better. So think about whether you think you're in a period of transformation, of change, of fall. Now let's talk about winter. Winter, here's my little poem about winter. Winter is the chill, sloping away from the length of light into the shrinking dark. It is the heart's deep knowing through the frozen night. Winter is the mystery, the stillness, the slowing down, and the soft, courageous singing of the blanketed, emerging soul. That almost brings tears to my eyes when I read that part, because I remember so many of my winters, those times where it just felt so cold and dark. When the world around you outside is, think about winter, and real winter. Here it snows, so we get snow, everything's covered in snow. There are snow days where school is canceled, feels like life is canceled sometimes. It's hard to go outside. You can't be outside sitting and enjoying a beautiful day. It's freezing cold, and the light is shorter, so the days are shorter, there's not as much light, it's harder to get up in the morning, and it's cold, right? Well, sometimes our lives feel like that, don't they? We're going through a really hard time of our life after a fall, maybe. We're having that time of feeling depressed or having a lot of anxiety, having a lot of worry, stress in our life, not sure how things are going to work out, or even a time of winter of I'm so busy, I have so many opportunities, I don't know what to do, I can't get out there and do this right now, I need to self-reflect. And that's the gift of winter. It's a time where we need to retreat. That's what I love about winter, is it makes you have to go indoors and spend more time by the fire and more time by yourself or with your family, more time cuddling up and taking care of yourself. That's what we can do in the winters of our life. So are you in a winter? Think about that. Then we have spring. Spring is the melting, the warming, the blooming, the hopeful shoots of green and the cleansing rain. Spring is cheerfully stepping outside in the sun just to find freezing winds forcing retreat. Spring is trying again, friendly tulips one day, quarrelsome snow the next. Yes, spring is unpredictable, but the hope of spring is strong. Encouraging, singing, beckoning us, we step out and discover the sun smiling down. So spring is that time of hope. You're tired of winter. When I was going through my winter year, by the end of the year, I was done. I was ready to be over and done with winter, and I wanted to move on to spring. I wanted to be hopeful, and I wanted joy in my life, but I started to realize I wasn't ready for joy. I wasn't ready to feel that joy. But what I did realize is I could still be cheerful and hopeful, even if I didn't feel joyful. And that's one of the lessons of spring that we'll be talking about, is cheerfulness. So are you in a time of spring, a time of trying to step out to engage in life again, but it feels like, you try and then you get knocked down again, or you try again and you just get knocked back again? That's spring for you. It's just kind of unpredictable, but at least you're trying to get out there. And then there's summer. Summer is the vibrant dawn of a green day. It is kisses from the sun and laughter in the rain. Summer is the wonder, the spontaneous bliss of shiny souls emerging and taking center stage. Summer is the time to fly, diving, swooping, rising, the unfurling of dusty wings as hearts sing and soar. That's summer. Are you in a summer? A time where you're ready to get out there and to become more in your life, to show what you've got, to shine, to let your talents really get out there and show the world? That's a summer for you. So think about what season you are in. That's one of my very first questions. I'm going to read you a little bit of this. So we will feel the isolation of winter, snow-packed, howling wind outside while we seek the safety of the burning fire within. We will feel the hope of spring, and we will experience the rapture of the summer that follows the seasons of life, the seasons of growth. Fall is the first season of personal growth, for when change comes into our life, as it does in the fall, we are given that sweet, miraculous opportunity to fight to stay the same, or to give in and grow. I believe in growing. I do. I really believe in growing. It is, after all, why we are here. As a wise person once said, life is change, growth is optional, choose wisely. That was Karen Kaiser Clark. What will your choice be? What will your choice be? Are you going to keep coming back and choose to grow with us? Choose to work through the seasons of your life? Choose to accept the season you're in and grow with us? I hope you will. So let's go over your assignments for the day. That's kind of the end of our lesson. Number one, the first thing that I said that we were going to do is, number one is, what does personal growth look like for you? So I want you to take some time to kind of like picture it in your head and envision it and write it out, okay? Then, number two assignment, I wrote them down here, is to get real, okay? Number two assignment is first, to what season of growth are you in? So identify your season, write down what season you're in, and own it, okay? Be okay with it. It's okay. Remember, there's no bad seasons. We just are where we are. Number three is we're going to get real. We're going to see our strengths and weaknesses, okay? So I wrote an article on my site just this week, and it's posted there. You can go check it out in my blog. It's called How to Embrace Your Strengths and Weaknesses. And it gives you some good examples of how you can do that. Sorry, mowing the lawn. You know that's what happens when it's a nice day out. Anyway, we'll just talk over that. So I want you to be able to see your strengths and your weaknesses. We're going to work more on this later, but I want you to start a list. Strengths, weaknesses. This is going to help you understand what is going right in your life and what's not going so great. What things you need to work on, what things you want to change, and what things, pretty much can stay where they are because you're doing okay with those things, right? So that's what we're going to work on with getting real, seeing your strengths and weaknesses, okay? And then, as I say, you have to see it to be it, okay? So this is number 4. I want you to envision what your personal growth is going to look like. Envision what you desire for this group. So what I suggest is literally lay back and let yourself have a quiet time, hopefully not with lawnmowers in the background, but get all quiet and still and let yourself dream. In 9 months when we're done with this group, what do you want to be different about your life? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? How do you want to act? What do you want your family life to be like? What do you want your kids to be like, or your friends, or your interactions in your relationships? Okay, envision it, see it in your mind, and then you can write down some of the things that you see. Another thing I suggest that you can try is dream yourself to sleep. Instead of falling asleep thinking about all of the things you didn't get to do that day, or all of the things that you did wrong, or all the things you have to do tomorrow, dream yourself to sleep. Think about the things you want, your dreams, your visions for yourself, these goals for personal growth, and see them as pictures in your head. If you want a wonderful relationship with your partner or your spouse, picture that. What does that look like? If you want your kids to feel that you love them, what does that look like? If you want career success, picture that, see it as you dream yourself to sleep. And then number 5, after you've done all these things, it's time to write down your goals. Now, this is what I do with therapy clients all the time. We always set goals the very first day that they come, and I have them really picture, when you leave this group, in your case, what do you want to be different? And once you can see that picture, you can put it into, reachable goals. And what I suggest when you write down your goals is write them in the positive. Don't say, I don't want to be tired and grumpy. Say, I want to have energy and be joyful in my life. Don't say, I want to, not feel depressed about my life situation. Say, I want to embrace where I am and live with meaning and purpose every day. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about, trying to get clear on what you want to do and what you're doing. I'm sorry, I'm really trying to get out of this. Okay? So those are your 5 tasks, and I will write them out as I send this email with this post so that you can have them written too. And hopefully you'll be excited as I am to get out there and choose to grow. In closing, I just want to read a little quote from a spiritual book that I was reading. And I just lost my quote. We're just a little casual here, right? Okay. So this is by an author called John Pontius. And he says, if you prayerfully examine your life, you will quickly find it. So if you're a praying person, pray, but examine your life. Be willing to see it. Be willing to see where you are so we can grow. because that's where you're going to find it. Then he says, there is something stopping you. Obviously, you haven't been growing in the way you wanted until now because of something. There is something stopping you, and God will give you the power to remove it if you let him. Let's have faith, let's be excited, let's work hard, and do it together in our This Is How We Grow personal growth group. I'll see you next month.